it's you. Come on in for 13 Frights before Halloween, day 1. Welcome, foolish mortals, to my first day of my 13 Frights before Halloween 2021. We're going to have a great time creating for Halloween 13 days of working on a fun large folio album that I originally designed for Graphic 45 using their Master Detective. But this time, we're going to make it with their new Midnight Tales. So you'll need the 12 by 12 papers. I have 2 collection packs, extra papers because I'm paranoid and I thought that I might run out of my favorites. You're going to need at least 29 to 32 sheets of 12 by 12 artisan black cardstock, 4 sheets of heavyweight chipboard to get started, your art glitter glue, some score tape sheets, score tape, and of course your tools, you know, your scoreboard, your trimmer, and things like that. So we're going to get started on this, and we're going to have a great time. Also, at the end of this video, and I may try this for every day if I have time, little projects. So this is a little pop-up mini album that you can display. And I need to add a clip. I haven't added any paper to the inside, but it sits like this, and you can put photos here on each square, and then these would be triangles of paper down below. So I'm going to show you how to make that. I think I can remember I followed this on something I found on YouTube, and I thought it was really cute for Halloween, and so I changed it a little bit for Halloween. So I'm going to try to show you how to make that at the end of today's video. So for today, we're going to try to get our cover made and get ready to start working on this large folio album. So stay tuned. So this is the album that I originally made when I designed it for Graphic 45 when I was a brand ambassador. This one we're going to make today will also have the same type of closure and will open up the same way as this one. So we're going to make the cover today just out of our cardstock and chipboard. Now what we're going to do a little bit different is we're going to use the Country Craft Creations designed by Tamara, the owner of Country Craft Creations. We're going to use her method of wrapping our cover pieces and assembling. So this one here, I didn't use, this is back when I didn't have artisan cardstock yet. I didn't know about it. And this, the way it was wrapped, even though it allowed space, this is starting to this paper is starting to crack on this album. So we're going to make it so that it's going to be really sturdy and it's not going to crack on us. Okay, so as I said earlier, you're going to need your 4 pieces of heavyweight chipboard and your black or whatever color you're using, cardstock, and I am using the artisan. So I have pre-cut my pieces for what I need to assemble this. We're going to wrap one at a time. So I'm going to go over this with you. Grab you a Sharpie marker because it's going to be very helpful to mark your chipboard pieces. You set these aside. Those are the support pieces. Okay. Figure out what I'm doing here. I pre-cut everything, so that goes with that. And I'm going to go over it with you, what I've cut. Okay. So you're going to need 2 pieces of the chipboard that you cut 8 1/2. So be sure and mark these because this is real important, what order we put these together. So 2 pieces, 8 1/2. Wide by 10 3/4 tall. 8 1/2 wide by 10 3/4 tall. We're not worrying about the height in our assembly, so that's why it's only labeled 8 1/2. It's going to be the width. So cut 2 pieces that are 8 1/2 by 10 3/4. And then the cardstock that you're going to cut, you're going to cut, we have to leave it at 12. It's going to be a little bit different than you normally do with the lay flat method because of the size of this book. But we're going to cut cardstock. You're going to want 2 that are 10 1/2 by 12. So to go with these chipboard pieces, 2 that are 10 1/2 by 12. Put those aside. Then you're going to want 2 pieces of the chipboard that is 9 by 10 3/4. 2 of these. Put the little line in there to make sure you understand it's a 9, not a 6. So you can turn it upside down. And then the cardstock for this is going to be 11 by 12. You need 2 cardstock to wrap those. Then for the spines, we're going to cut 2 pieces that are 1 inch wide by 10 3/4 out of the chipboard, and then you need to cut 2 pieces of cardstock that are 12 inches by 4. 12 inches by 4 for those. And then for the main spine, you're going to make this chipboard piece 2.5 by 10 3/4, and your cardstock piece for it should be 12 inches by 5.5. Sorry, I had to look at my notes. Could use a ruler, but I need to just use my notes. 12 inches by 5.5 for the spine. Then we're also going to cut 2 pieces that are 10.5 by 4 for supports on the inside, and 1 piece that's 10.5 by 5.5 out of your cardstock. Now we'll have a cutting list for this. It'll be down below in the description box. Just click on the link and it'll take you to my Google Docs so that you can download it and print it and have it on hand. So that's what we're going to start off with today. Okay, so let's go ahead and take 9 inch and the 2 large cardstock for that. So this is 12 by 11, and we're just going to start wrapping, and I'm going to use glue. You can use sport tape if you want. Just get 1 piece here. Now what we're going to do, normally I leave 1 inch at the top and 1 inch at the bottom to wrap, but because of the size of this, I can only get 12 inches off. 12 inch paper just gives me 12 inches. I can't make it any bigger than that. So this is 10 3/4 tall, so you add 2 inches to that, you're beyond the 12 inch size. So we're going to have a narrow wrap here. And I'm still going to use my spacer guide here from Country Craft Creations for the 1 inch on the side, because we're still going to have 1 inch on the side. So you see if I put it like that, that gives me that. So let me grab my scoreboard because it makes it a lot easier using the guides with that. I'll put this down. Make sure your paper is flush at the top and the bottom, and I'm going to put this one here on the left side. So I want this number to show. Let me grab my glue. Haven't checked it to see if it's still flowing or not. So I may have to, there we go, it's working. Okay, so I put glue on the back side of this entire piece. And we're just going to butt it down, and we're going to have to look at it here at the bottom and get about 3/4 of 1 inch. So top and bottom. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but do it the best you can, you know, and this will help keep it straight. So we have 1 inch on each side, and we're going to go ahead and burnish this and turn it over. Make sure everything's burnished down. I don't want any waves in my paper. Okay, go ahead and do the other one the same way. And you're also going to do the other large chipboard pieces for the 8.5 inch size. You're going to do it the same way. Okay, so I'm going to speed up the video here a little bit and go ahead and get these pieces glued down. Okay, so now we're ready for our spine piece. So this is the one that is 5.5 by 12. I'll put that in. This one we can use our 1 inch at the top, and we're going to have the 1.5 on the side. This is so that we have the wings that we need to attach these fine pieces together. So take your 2.5 one, put the glue on the back, and attach it down so it butted up to the top and to the left spacer. So, wait a minute, I'm wrong. Don't use that. Pull this up real quick. Okay, put some more glue on it. My mistake. We only use the 1.5. I forgot that I don't have a full inch on each end. Okay, we're cool. We're good. Here we go. Almost had a fright here for the 13 Frights of Halloween. Okay, so butt it up to the left and leave us about 3/4 of an inch, the bottom and the top or so. And burnish. So everything's okay. We can put this 1-inch one up because we're not going to need it again. That way we won't try to use it. Go ahead and burnish this. So this is for your 2.5-inch spine. Then we have the 2 little 1-inch ones. So we put this paper in that we cut to 4 inches. And we're going to put our 1.5-inch spacer here on the side. Make sure that butts up. Okay. Then we take the glue on the little 1-inch spines. Put glue on it. And we're going to do both the same way. Leave about 3/4 of an inch at the top and the bottom. And then we have the 1.5 wings on the side. Okay, so now we'll do this one. So since we're working on something for Halloween, and we're coming up to Halloween in just 13 days, I'm wondering what everyone's favorite Halloween candy is. So, if you're here following along with me, I know it's not live, but in the comments, when you make a comment, tell me your favorite Halloween candy. I'm just curious. What do I like? Oh, chocolate. If it's chocolate, I like it. I love Reese's peanut butter cups. I love Snickers. And a lot of people love candy corn, and some people absolutely hate it. I kind of like this stuff, and I like those little orange pumpkins too. I guess you could say if it has sugar in it, I probably like it. Okay, so there's that. Now we're ready to start doing some wrapping. So now we're ready to wrap all the corner edges of our largest pieces, our 4 pieces, our 2 9s and our 2 8.5s. So what I do is I like stand these up, and again, you're only going to have about 3/4 of an inch here to wrap on one end, and that's going to be fine. We're not going to panic because it's not 1 full inch. 1 inch is nice, but we can do it without that. Get my bone folder. I'm just going to burnish this down. And then you're going to fold this up on this side. And we're going to do all 4 of these pieces the same. So I'm going to show you in real time one, and then I will be speeding up the video for the others. But they all will be done the same. Now what I like to do, this is optional, I take a bit of score tape and just put it in the center. I don't like to wrap score tape. It's more expensive. I don't know. Glue works great for me. You do what works good for you. If you like to just use score tape, that's fine. A lot of people use the score tape, and that's great. I just like to use it to help me hold things down while the glue dries. So we've got that. Make sure you burnish those so the tapes come off easier. Now we need to miter. Now you can either cut the corners out, which I have done in my basic video on how to do that, but today I'm going to go ahead and do a miter. So I just make an angle cut about 1/16 of an inch from the tip of my chipboard. Okay, you miter the corners the way that works best for you. I'm doing both ways. I know a lot of people like the corner, or this one would be a rectangle coming out. So next I'm going to do work on the two long sides, and I'm going to put a line of glue onto the cardstock right up against the chipboard. That's in that fold. And then I'm going to pull this tape backing off because we need it to be sticky. And then I put glue around the rest of this on this flap. And we bend it over, press it over, kind of stretch it over, and then go ahead and start burnishing. And so what that score tape does, it just helps hold it down to give me time to get the glue to grab. And I need to grab a wipe. I like to use the Viva paper towels. I used to use the baby wipes and let them dry out. These are already dry, so that's a step I can save. And they don't have any lint on them, so they're called Viva paper towels, which is the name brand of the towels. Go ahead and burnish that and get any excess glue out. There, burnish along the edge a little bit, and I'll turn it around and do the other side the same way. Take your tape off. Glue along the edge of the chipboard onto the cardstock, and glue on the rest of the flap on each side. I don't put it on top of the score tape because it makes the score tape not as sticky. I mean, that's why people like to put glue on their score tape, so that they can release their score tape if they make a mistake, but it kind of defeats the purpose of being a strong adhesive. So go ahead and burnish that out. Okay, and now the ends. Now before you do the ends, I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape on this one. We need to get that corner ready, because you're going to see, I don't know if I can show you in the camera or not, a little bit of this one is still sticking over, and you don't want that. You want it to come in. So I take a bone folder or your fingernail and burnish that excess into the flap of this other one. Then we do our glue. Since this is skinny, I'm not going to put glue on this edge of the score tape. And we're just going to fold it down and burnish. And it should fit really well right there on this corner. Here. And burnish that in. It's a little harder to get it to lay down because it is shorter. But it's going to work just fine. So there we go. So there's those corners like that. Then we'll do the other side the same way. So again, you will repeat this on all 4 large pieces, your 2 8.5 and your 2 9-inch ones, to wrap them completely on all 4 sides to get them ready to assemble the cover. And the next thing I'll show you after I get all 4 of these done, we will do the spine pieces, and they're wrapped a little bit different. It's got a little bit sticking out I don't like. Clip that off just a little bit, not too much. Bring it, there we go. Okay, touch it down and burnish. Okay, and there's that one wrapped, just like that. So we'll go ahead, I'm going to speed up the video and do the other 3. Okay, so all three of our spine pieces are going to be done the same way. You wrap the bottom and the top, but you do not wrap the sides. These become attachment wings. It's really important. Don't fold and glue these side ones over. So let me slide these out of the way. So what I do is I, again, stand it up and get me a good burnish. I'm going to stab myself with my scissors. That would be great for Halloween, 13 Frights before Halloween. Okay, so you stand this up and you fold it. Then this side I've got a little bit shorter, but it's still going to work fine. Get that all burnished. Now what I like to do is I like to really burnish right here along the edge of the chipboard to get that nice crease in there, because I want that up really tight up against that. Now you can, miter cut this section out, but I don't know. I tend to have problems. It's just me, maybe me, where I cut too much or something. So this is very skinny. Now I could put score tape there, but I'm not going to. I put glue the height of this right along the chipboard edge and along the chipboard edge in here, and then glue on the tab, all the tab that's sticking out. Normally this would be 1 inch, but this is going to be a little shorter. So bring it over, and I see that I have excess glue. That's okay. I'm going to just wipe that off. And what I'm going to do is burnish this, and when you do, make sure it's laying really flat in there. Clean that glue out. And I burnish right up against that chipboard, just like I did earlier, right in here. Because you want that to be the fold of the book. And this is nice and flat in here. So I just used a little too much glue there, so we'll get all that cleaned up. And we'll do the same on this side. So I'm not going to put as much here up against the chipboard, just a little bit. What I do is I work that glue into my cardstock. Fold this over here, burnish this down, and then burnish and really get this flat and get my bone folder in there and get that crease so that you can see. I'll hold it up and show you. Okay, so we have that crease there. Now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to run it right along the edge of the chipboard on the cardstock. This is the actual fold of our album, and that's why I like to use the art clear glue, because it's so much stronger. When I flip it over, I can see that ridge, so I'm going to once again burnish right along that cardstock, and it may even help you to see it if you fold it backwards like this and just burnish. Okay, fold it, because this is going to be your fold of your album, your folio. And then I bring it back over, and that's why I say artisan cardstock is the best, because you can fold and get what you want with it without cracking. So I use the rounded part of my bone folder. Don't use a sharp end. And you go ahead and work that and get that ridge. So you can see this is the ridge that you want of your spine piece. This is what's going to attach into your album or onto your cover pieces. Make sure I've really got it burnished good. I'm going to do the other two the exact same way. So you're going to have it looking like this. Okay, so go ahead and do the other two. I'm going to speed up the video now. Okay, so we have them all ready, the spine pieces, and we're fixing to put the covers onto this. So I have to check my notes, make sure I tell you in the correct order, and we'll get these assembled and get the cover assembled. Okay, it's important that we get these in the right order. So we're going to take our 2.5 inch spine piece. The wings are here. Have it facing up. I have a 9 inch here in my right hand, and I have a 9 inch here on the left. It's a little hard to show all of it at once. Now, I'm not using score tape. I'm going to use glue on mine. I don't like score tape. And it's important to put your glue about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. So with your spine piece facing up like this, make a line of glue here. Just try not to be too thick. That one's too thick. I'm going to wipe that off. All the way down. See, I don't want that glue in the valley of that hinge or that fold. And then I want glue on the rest of this. Now then, facing up the finished side of your 9 inch, take it and you're going to put onto that flap and butt it up right here, the two chipboards together, and burnish that. Okay, then we're going to carefully turn it over, and we're going to burnish this back side here where the wing is, right in here. Turn it back so we have that one piece on. Okay, now we're going to take the other 9 and we're going to put it on this other wing right here. So this is just like when you make a regular album, except we're going to be adding those extra flaps. So let's go ahead and get our glue on this wing. See, we have our spine piece here that's got the chipboard. The wings is just cardstock. Okay, and we're going to take this, the 9 inch chipboard side down and finished side down, and we're going to place it right up against that chipboard of the spine. Okay, and then burnish that really well. We want to make sure that it stays stuck. Okay, then we're going to flip it over and burnish on the inside. Okay, so now we turn it back. Got my numbers upside down, but that's okay because we've got them in order. Okay, so now we have that. Now we're ready for a 1 inch spine, and it's going to go right here on the end of each 9 inch piece. Okay, so we have it laying face up, and we're going to put the glue right along the edge, not on that fold, because I don't like glue oozing out a lot. And glue on the flap, that 1.5 inch flap section. And we're going to lift up our cover, and we're going to put this, we're going to bring the ends of this number 9 cover, 9 inch cover, right up against the chipboard of the 1 inch. Okay, burnish, carefully flip it over, burnish the inside, and then we'll turn it back over. Let's put the 1 inch on the other end, because it's going to get really, really long here. So the glue goes right along about 1/8 of an inch from the fold, just on this 1.5 inch flap that you've got here with your 1 inch hinge, 1 inch spine, sorry. Lift this up, put this cover right into that, right on the edges. burnish, and slowly flip it over and burnish the inside. Now, it's getting really long. We're going to bring our 8.5 inch piece, and it's going to go right here. Okay, so here you got your 1 inch chipboard spine. Put your glue on the flap, the wings, not along the fold. Go ahead and get your glue on there. Put this one on right up against the chipboard. You're going to notice that on one end it's kind of extends a little bit, and that's okay. We don't know why it does that. It just does sometimes. But then when the book is folded up, everything's fine. Okay, so burnish, burnish, burnish. Pressing down really hard on that. Flip it over and burnish again. And we have one more piece to put on this cover. Now I'm going to flip it completely all the way around so that I can be in camera. It doesn't matter. We got the 1 inch here. So I'm going to put my glue on my wing. And place this one right up against that chipboard piece. Line them up. Edge it down and burnish. And the back side. And now we have our cover. We're going to let it dry for just a little bit. So all the flaps attachments have dried. So I'm comfortable with it. Now I went ahead and marked out the ones that I had upside down and changed it so I know everything's the right side up, because you got to be very careful so you're not turning everything upside down. And though it's a Halloween book, upside down in some places might be okay, but to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to keep it straight. So this will fold up. Now how this is going to work is, of course, we've got to put our supports in on the inside. But these two outer ones fold in, and then they fold in. And of course, you see here, they kind of drop down. What we're going to do, we're going to put a couple of magnets in here to help hold these square more until we get pages in. And then, of course, we will have that wraparound closure piece with the magnets. Now, so from your cardstock, you should have cut support pieces. You want 2 that are 10.5 by 4 and 1 that's 10.5 by 5.5. And then go ahead and cut, unless you're using strips of score tape, cut your score tape sheets to fit these 3 pieces. And I had to piece mine together on some of this. So I've got it ready. I'm going to put my score tape on. If you're using the strips, you need to cover it pretty solid because these are really important. We don't want them to buckle when we're folding the book. So you want these stuck down really flat. Glue can tend to loosen up some or have some bubbles or gaps in something that is bending. So you don't want to use glue for that. So go ahead and grab these. Let's see here. This one is cut for this size here. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this one down. And so I just peel most of the backing off. I've cut these down to size. For me, it's easier than trying to use a craft knife. So I'm going to peel part of it back, and on one side, I'm just going to go ahead and line these up. So you just want the score tape on one side, okay? Burnish that down. I'm going to go ahead and do the others. I just cut it to fit. And if you have to piece it, that's okay. So mine are going to be pieced to fit onto these. Let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll come back with these ready to go. Okay, so we've got the score tape or the strips of score tape on your support pieces, cardstock that go in your book. So let's grab the book, and we're going to open this up to the right-hand side here. This is where the 4-inch wide ones are going to go. So just pull your backing off. You should have burnished that tape backing so that it's easier to peel off. Grab my little scissors, and I just kind of stick my blade under there and just peel this off. Now I've pieced this one so I have 2 paper backs to pull off. So always save your leftovers of your score tape sheet because you can piece them on. Now we want this to fit, I'm going to double check here, about, let me see, about a, looks like 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, I'm going to center it top to bottom, side to side, about equal distance on the top and the bottom. So it's about 1/8 of an inch. And we're going to burnish this in. This is a support piece. And we also like burnish carefully, pressing it down because it's got score tape on it. It will press down into that spacing of our 1-inch spine here. You can just lift it up, gently bend it so that it goes ahead and bends in there. Didn't mean to do that one. And this other side as well. Just bring it up. So this kind of strengthens it, makes it a little tighter in there, but that's what we want. So now we're going to scoot over. The 2.5 one is going to be our wider piece, and it's going to fit right in there, same height. So we'll make sure we burnish the tape backing. Let's go ahead and peel this backing off. And I think we'll have time to put our magnets on, and then we'll stop for day 1, and we'll come back for day 2 and add some pattern papers to our cover. I'm just going to bend this up so I can see the score line right there, and the other one. And now let's go ahead and put the last one on. And then I'll go grab some magnets and we'll get that done. I do recommend the larger basic gray magnets that you can order from Country Craft Creations. I forgot to order mine, so I'm going to be using some small ones that I have in my stash that I received with some kit years ago. And I think they'll work just fine, but I do advise the bigger magnets for you. Okay, so here we go. Line these up and stick it down. And we're going to burnish that right in there. Okay, so this will close up like this and then in like that. So you see now it's much more sturdier. When we get those magnets on there, it's going to really help. And then we'll be ready to add pattern paper tomorrow for our second day of 13 Frights before Halloween. So let me grab some magnets and we'll get those on. And then you can spend the rest of the day, if you want, picking out papers that you like for your cover, for your spine sections, for the front and the back, 2 insides. And then we have all of this in here. Don't put anything down yet till we get to those, till we get to that stage, okay? So let me go get some magnets. Okay, so I have my magnet sets picked out. I have 2 sets. And like I said, I'm out of the large basic gray, which I much prefer. But I'm going to go ahead and use these. It's also optional. I'm showing you using 2. Then check your cover out. If you feel like you need a 3rd in the center, you can do that. There's not really a need for it out here, but if you feel more comfortable with that, you might put one or one at the top, one at the bottom. So I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm going to put these 2 on first, see how it looks, and if I don't like it before tomorrow, I'll add probably a 3rd one or something if I think these small ones will work. So I'm going to bring it in about 1 inch from each side and end. Mine, I have to glue mine on. So I'm going to separate my little sets and drop one on right here. And then drop the other one up here. And then I like to use, didn't have that one down for, now I'm going to drop it down some. There we go. I don't like it real close to the edge, so the magnet don't show. I like to use Scotch tape to put over the magnet. Secures it down while the glue's drying, and also kind of seals up that all the area around it so it doesn't show as much in my paper, under my paper. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this down like that. Now we attach the other magnet, and you're going to have to put tape, so I have to check mine. If you're using the basic gray, you're going to have sticky on yours, so you don't have to do this step, but I have to put tape on the side of mine that's not going to be stick down. So the opposite side, and then I stick them together. Sticky side of the tape is facing up right now. Okay, check this one out. Okay, so my tape and my sticky side of the tape should be sticking up. So this way it's a whole lot easier doing it with the basic gray magnets. Now I put some glue on this magnet. Now this is where you're going to need to make sure you're lining everything up when you close it down. Hopefully my head won't get in the way. You want to make sure everything's square here. You want the nice square of your 1-inch spines here. And so that looks good. So I'm going to let mine dry, and then, like I said, I will decide if I want to add an extra magnet or not. So I'm looking at it to see if it's squared up. So let yours dry, or if you use the basic gray, you should be good to go, and decide if you want any extra magnets or not. So that's it for day 1. Thank you so much for joining in. You know, having so much fun. This is a little something I made. Let me realign mine up a little more. Something I made using some scraps from Country Craft Creations. Let me zoom in just a tiny bit. Okay, it's real little. Has nothing to do with our album project, but I thought it might be fun as a little bonus, if I can remember how I made it, to show you how to make one of these. So this unties, and you see it's only a 3 by 3. And then it opens up like this. Now I haven't finished adding pattern paper yet, but this is a lot of fun, and you can then clip it here on the side or retie it with your ribbon. No, it's not attached to where I can retie it. Okay, so you can clip it, and then you can use this for little photos and have it sitting on the table. You see that, how it folds up? So then when you fold it, they all fold in. Now I made this following something I saw, and now I'm hoping I can remember to show you how to make it. So let me grab some cardstock. I think you just need 1 sheet, and we'll see if we can figure this out. And it just ties like that. It's really cute with the pattern paper, and I'll add more pattern paper in it. I know I started out with 1 sheet 12 by 12 cardstock, put it on my scoreboard, scored at 3, 6, and 9. Turn it, score again at 3, 6, and 9. Okay. Now I really have to think. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 4 is 16 little squares that are 3 by 3, right? 4 times 4. Now I know I'm going to cut some of this out. So I'm thinking. Okay, so now I remembered. I'm going to cut these into 4 6 by 6s. So we could have done that before we actually scored, but we're good. So we end up having, each one has 4 squares. Okay, so we have 4 6 by 6 squares that have been scored to have 4 3 by 3 squares. Yay, I remembered that. I'm glad. Let's move on to the next part. Okay, so now we're going to take each one and we're going to put this in at 3. You can only do this if you're using this type of cutter, or you can use your scissors. So put this in at 3. Make sure it's squared. And you're going to cut down to your 3 mark. Okay. So now we have split. Okay. We're going to do that on each one. Okay, now here's the next, we can put a trimmer away. Here's the next fun part. We've got to make that little angle. Now if you can hold it, artisan cardstock's a little trickier. I'll take my ruler, see if that helps. From point to point, we've got to fold this to get that triangle. The best that we can. We want it to be right at the point, right on the edge. So just make sure you pull it so that it does that. Burnish that. That one's not quite to the point. Almost. There we go. Okay, and burnish. So that's going to make our little fold up. So when we fold this, we're going to glue. It's going to pop up. We're going to fold these score lines. This is what I was having problems remembering. And then we're going to glue those together so that then it folds up like that. It's not exactly perfect, but it's pretty close. Once I fold it up, I kind of move things around. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue these 2 cut ones together. So put glue on one side. And of course my glue decided that now was the time to get dried. Okay, here we go. So we glue these 2 together. Make sure we're lining them up. Burnish that. We want it squared in there. Oops, come on. And remember, art glitter glue dries pretty quick, so I got to make sure I get it straight in there. So there's our little box section, and then we have this little one that folds in like that. So that's where I try to re-burnish and get my good folds. So that is one part of the box, and they're all going to join together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to fold this one like that. So you meet score line to score line. There we go. That works better than the ruler. Burnish that. And then I'm going to fold it so that it goes the opposite way. Fold all my other lines and burnish. going to join it together. So one side, one of these two that are cut. Here we go. Use your glue. Bring them together. Make sure they're square. And burnish. Now then we have this that pops in. So they fold it in. And that one came out much better. Okay. Go ahead and do the other two the same way. We got the split. We're going to fold the one on the corner, line these up. Burnish that. Burnish all your other lines. And then we're going to glue these together. Just like that. Line them up. And then we fold in our square. And there's that one and one more. Burnish it really good. There's your other score lines. And this one. And then we open it up and we glue these together. Now I know why on the other one I did not put pattern paper on the other squares, because really if you wanted to put pictures on there, Halloween pictures, you might not want paper on those. Okay, so now we have all four, and they're simply going to glue together. Make sure they're going the same way. So you want your little V's all pointing up. So I've got my V pointing up. I put glue on this one. Oops, got glue on me. Okay. And then we glue this one down. Make sure the V's pointing up on the other one. Line them together. Make sure if you need to clip them together, do that, or burnish it really well. That glue dries. So we have two together. Pull this down. Make sure your V's are pointing up. Kind of dark. It's hard to see. Grab this one. The V is pointing up right here. Put your glue. You want them all going the same direction. The folds, the little V's that fold up. So make sure you don't turn it around. Line them up as best you can. Open this up. Burnish it. And then I'm going to turn it and do this other side here. So there's my V up. There's my V point right there. See it? I turned it so you could see it. My V point here. So glue is going to go on this side. Okay. Now then we're ready for ribbon and patterned paper once we get this all glued together here. So when we open it up, we have that. And then it all folds in just like that. So now we're ready to cut 2 pieces of patterned paper and some ribbon. And this will be done. You can do pattern paper on the inside if you want. So let me get my ribbon and my pattern paper. To pattern the outside, go ahead and cut 2 pieces of whatever paper you want to use, 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. And I am using the Bewitching Hour pieces from Country Craft Creations exclusive paper. I've already cut my ribbon. I did a piece that's about, let me measure, because I was testing a theory out that I should have done on the other one. It's about 24 inches, 28. And I taped it. This is crinkled up. I taped the purple here on the front and the back. And now I'm going to glue the paper down over each one. So I'm going to peel the backing off real quick so I can utilize that stickiness, and grab me a clip to hold this for a minute. Okay, so I want the spiders. Okay, so added the glue for my spiders. I'm just going to attach it down over the ribbon. So stretch this out so it's nice and even on the side, and then glue this paper down over the ribbon, and I'll show you why in just a minute. I think this will work. Okay, and I did ink the edges of my papers. I'm going to turn this over, take the backing off this front side, and then I'm going to glue the paper onto that. And you can decorate however you want. You can add more pattern paper to the solid pieces, not the ones that fold up. And be careful, if you do those, you're going to have to cut those into triangles. I'm not going to do that right now because this is a little bonus thing, and I just want to show you what I'm doing. So this goes over it. Glue on my fingers. Okay. Right there like that. Push that down. Now then, we can tie this like this. Looks different than the other one, but there's a reason. Rhyme and reason. And then I'm going to tie a knot in the end of my ribbon here so that it doesn't fray too much. Halloween's okay if it does fray some though. But I do like knots on the ends of my seam binding ribbon. All the way up to the end as far as I can here. There we go. And just clip that off. Now then, when we untie it, the ribbons are underneath the cover paper, and then we open this back. We can tie this here on this side. I don't know why I didn't think of that on that first one. We tie it right here, and it holds it all together to put it on your table. So you could put a photo here, here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 photos. Can't do math. And if you want to pattern this, you're going to have to cut it the 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and then you're going to split it corner to corner, and you would glue each one, and that would be really cute. I don't want this video to get too terribly long, so I'm not going to do that. Maybe I'll do that off camera, and I'll show you at the first of day 2. So anyway, that is day 1 of my 13 Frights before Halloween. We have our album base ready for tomorrow. Pick out our pattern papers. You pick out the ones you like. I will have mine ready, cut and ready to show you. I will cut mine 1/8 of an inch shorter in the height and 1/8 of an inch shorter in the width for each section that I'm going to pattern. Except for this I keep the same width, 1/8 of an inch shorter in height. So this one I will probably cut about 2 3/4. We'll see. That way I can trim it down if I need to or not. So thanks so much for joining me for day 1 of my 13 Frights before Halloween. I hope I didn't scare you too terribly bad. And check back tomorrow about 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And the next video should be ready to go. Thanks. Bye-bye.